PG bloggers.
PG bloggers.
The PG bloggers.
PG bloggers.
The PG bloggers.
PG bloggers.
PG bloggers.
PG bloggers. The PG bloggers, man. The PG GOAT with the PG bloggers. Please don't say the John if you ain't saying it twice. If you don't add the Don, you ain't saying it right.
ShrugLife.
So on to Arsonal. Is Arsonal someone that you wanted for a while? Is he like at the top of your list?
He's not at the top, but he's on there. He's definitely he was definitely one of the top 5 names going into 2017. I want so like my hit list for 2017 is Arsonal, which obviously is already locked in. Iron Solomon, John, Jonai, and then there's a few other names like Ilmac if it's on King of the Dot. You know, I've been wanting to battle him for a little while. Verb, I don't know, man. I have an offer on the table for Verb right now, and I'm just like, Verb hasn't impressed me. Like, he didn't impress me versus Bonnie. He didn't impress me versus Thesaurus. So like, it's not a battle that I need. It's not a battle that Verb needs. So I don't know. Even though people want to see that one too, I don't know if that one will happen, man, because I gotta see a flash of that old Verb. You know what I'm saying? So if Verb and Mickey Fax end up battling, and the old Verb shows up, that would motivate me to want to actually take Verb. You know what I mean? But I don't need Verb on my resume. You know what I'm saying? And Verb doesn't need me on his resume. So I don't know if that want to happen. Okay. But Arsonal's was definitely on my top 5 hit lists for 2017, man. So when I got the call to make it happen, we locked that in super quick.
Is this going to be like one of the most difficult environments to battle somebody in? Because obviously Ars is going to be in his backyard once again. And he gave Tay Rock some trouble last time out. So how do you feel, or what do you have to do to beat Arsonal in his own backyard?
I mean, beating Arsonal live is going to be the challenge for me. You know what I mean? On camera, I feel like I can have a debatable with anyone on camera just because of the density of my material. To beat Arsonal live is going to be a challenge, man, and it's going to be tough. But that's what I want. That's what I like. Like if you look back at my battles and you look back at battles where I am clearly the underdog, for instance, going into the math battle, a lot of people had me getting smoked going into that battle because Math hadn't battled since the disaster issue, so he was out for like a year. He was refreshed. I had just come off like 9 battles in 10 months, and I had a month to prepare for Math because originally it was T-Top. T-Top couldn't do the battle, and I stepped in to do it on like 3.5 weeks prep, and ended up, in my opinion, beating Math in Atlanta. And then I battled Khan the next month, which is another battle that people had me getting smoked in, and beat Khan clearly. So like every time I'm in a battle or I'm in a situation where people feel like I could lose, or people feel like I will lose, or I can't handle the environment, or I can't handle the battler in front of me, I always show up, man. I always show up. If not for nothing, if I haven't been as consistent recently in some of my battles, the one thing you can usually count on is after the DNA battle, I show up in big battles, performance-wise, material-wise. I always show up, always. So to beat Ars in Jersey, I got to perform. I got to be steady paced. I got to be quick with the material, and I gotta step outside my comfort zone a little bit. Y'all will understand what I mean by that.
Okay.
Come showtime, but y'all are. I can't wait to show y'all the newer.
Are we gonna get a different Chilla?
Slightly different. You'll get all the classic qualities of Chilla. You're gonna see something new from me that I showcased a little bit in the Chayron battle, in London as kind of like a warm up or a test. But you're gonna get something new from Chilla that some of the greats in battle rap are only capable of, that I have mastered. From hard work and practice. But you guys will see. You guys will see.
Well, what will Arsonal have to do to beat you, bro?
He's gonna need more than disrespect. I'll tell you that. And I think for him to beat me live, he's definitely gonna have to play to the crowd. You know what I'm saying? He's gonna have to play to Jersey. He's gonna have to, really obviously UW. I think even more so than URL is kind of like a super street urban. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think URL at this point has a fair mix, but we're gonna be in the middle of Newark. So obviously Arsonal can pull out his Crip flag, and he can talk street shit and throw up gang signs and Crip walk across the stage, and niggas will go crazy. Like that's fine. We're in Arsonal's backyard. He has special moves that he can use to his advantage, and that's cool. But it's just gonna have to be more than disrespect. I'm gonna be in front of Arsonal saying some amazing shit. So whether or not Jersey reacts or gives me a reaction or however the crowd takes to me, just know I'm going to be standing in front of Arsonal saying some very amazing shit. So if he really wants to beat me and not just rely on the crowd to beat me live, like if he wants to beat me on camera and live, he's gonna have to step his pen way up. The shit he was saying versus Tay Rock is not gonna cut it. It's not gonna do it. He's gonna need a lot more than what he had for Tay Rock.
Okay. Are you a fan of those pedophile bars? It seemed like there were a lot of those in the Arson Tay Rock battle.
I mean, no, I'm not a fan of that type of stuff. Y'all know me, man. When it comes to battles, I don't get too disrespectful. You know what I mean? I don't put people's I don't put kids' names and spouses' names and all types of shit like that. Like I rely more on my pen, and clever angles and creativity. I find fresher ways to attack. That's kind of like an easy way out almost.
Right.
But nah, I'm not really a big fan of that. Every battler has put themselves in a box where they can expect certain things to happen to them in these battles. Math is going to battle and hear about Bonnie, hear about Disaster, and hear about Dose and Sirius. It's just the way it is. It's just going to happen. So now Arsonal has put himself in this box where most people who battle Arsonal are going to try and out-disrespect him or be disrespectful. They're going to talk about Detroit and talk about Trick and go on and on about that. Like, so Arsonal kind of put himself in that box where that pedophile bars, I don't like categorize on their own. To me, that just falls into disrespect. Okay. So like Arsonal to me has put himself in that box where he can expect most of his opponents that he battles to try and do shit like that, to be disrespectful. But I'm not really a big fan of that approach unless it's done creatively, and usually it's not.
Okay. I'm just curious about that. But these other matchups on this UW card, I want to know your thoughts. How do you feel about Hitman and Shug?
It's gonna be. I'm glad it's finally happening.
Is this the right time for it, or has it lost some steam in your opinion?
It's definitely lost steam. Definitely lost steam. But at the same time, depending on how you're looking at it, that could be a good thing, because let's be all the way funky. The last big battle to live up to expectations, in my opinion, is probably Holla and Lux.
Yep.
Lux and Clips didn't do it for me. Mm-hmm. Clips and Holla, mostly on Clips' side, didn't do it for me.
Right.
Mook and Lux, the rematch, didn't do it for me.
Pat Stay and Hollow. Pat Stay and Hollow's another one, didn't really live up to it.
Pat and Hollow didn't really do it for me. Diz and Iron was super dope.
Right.
But in general, bigger matchups like that don't always live up to the hype. Now, one good thing for this battle is just looking at the path of High Stakes 1. Hollow and Lux, in most people's minds, was a battle that should have happened on URL. Never did. Happened on UW, ended up being one of the best battles of all time. Now, Hitman and Shug is another battle that most people feel like should have been on URL. Mm-hmm. It didn't, and now it's going to headline High Stakes 2. So I think it could end up being a really dope battle, and I think it might actually benefit it that it has lost some steam. I think a lot of us have at least slightly lowered our expectations for the battle. But it is a true grudge match. The fact that it's happening not in New York, where it was originally scheduled to, not in Chicago, where it was also scheduled to on Guerrilla Warfare at one point, not in St. Louis on Hitman's Phantom card that never ended up happening,
Right.
where it could have happened. Now it's happening in the middle of Jersey. Hitman now turns into, I don't know if I would say he turns into the underdog, but it definitely shifts, I think. Hitman in St. Louis versus Shug, I'd never bet against Hitman. I wouldn't bet against Hitman. I think more people are going to bet on Shug with the battle being in Jersey. So I think it's going to be fire, though. Hitman live is amazing. I never was a Hitman fan until I saw him live at Summer Madness 2, and then I understood his greatness at that moment. You know what I'm saying? So I think Hitman will take the battle 2-1.
Okay.
But I expect the first round from both to be fire. I just hope they can sustain that for 3 rounds, because Hitman has a habit of trailing off. Shug sometimes has a habit of trailing off. I hope they can sustain the energy from the first round for all 3 rounds.
Okay. How do you feel about DNA and Pat Stay?
As most of these matchups are, it's weird a little bit.
Does this matchup feel forced a little bit to you, or?
I won't say it's forced. What I will say is Pat Stay probably would never take DNA on King of the Dot. And if this matchup were to happen anywhere else, it probably would have been URL.
Why don't you feel like you take him on King of the Dot?
Because Pat Stay on King of the Dot is what I don't want to. Let me not compare him to another battler on another league. Pat Stay on King of the Dot can get any matchup he wants, any matchup he pleases.
Facts.
If he asked for Iron Solomon, he would get him. If he asked for Lux and the money was there, he would get him. And Pat Stay is the franchise of King of the Dot. He's their guy. He's their big money guy.
Mm-hmm.
So, 1, I don't think Pat Stay ranks DNA highly as a battler. And 2, there's a lot of other names that Pat Stay can go after before going after DNA. So right now at this point, I don't think Pat Stay would have taken DNA on King of the Dot. Pat Stay is one of the biggest names you can have on King of the Dot at this point.
Okay.
So I don't think it would have happened there. I know at one point DNA was talking about battling Pat Stay on URL for Pat Stay's debut.
Oh wow!
And I think that could have been cool, because I think it would be. I think more people wonder how Pat Stay is going to do on URL than UW. But this might be more interesting because this, like I said, the crowd I feel like on UW is a little more urban than URL. So it's going to be interesting to see. I don't know how I'm going to call this battle, man. Honestly, my instinct says DNA 2-1, just because I don't know how people are going to receive Pat Stay.
That's a good point.
And Pat Stay's humor. Like, Pat Stay has a weird style of humor that I really like, that I don't know if it will translate well in the middle of 1,000 gang members or whatever you want to call it. You know what I'm saying?
Like a lot of street affiliated.
A lot of G's will be in the building. So I don't know how they'll take the Pat Stay's humor.
Yeah.
If I had to pick, it would be DNA 2-1.
Okay.
But yeah, it's an interesting matchup. I probably would have preferred O-Red and DNA.
O-Red, okay.
That'd be a good
I think it
matchup.
would have made more sense for a UW card. 1, Red's from Jersey. 2, they both have been asking to do that battle. They both have been wanting to do that battle. So I think that would have been probably a better fit for the card. But it'll be interesting to see how this matchup turns out, too. I think these matchups, me and Ars, Pat and DNA, and then Chayron and Rock are usually the battles that have the most interesting outcomes.
How are you looking at Chayron and Tay Rock? What'd you think of that outcome?
I got Rock. In that one, and let's not forget though, Chayron did really well versus Magic on UW.
Right.
I think most people have Chayron winning, even though I kind of preferred Magic.
What a surprise!
Yeah, I mean, people think I'm biased and all that, but nah, I mean, Chayron's rounds were really long for one, and two, a lot of his material was hit and miss. I feel like Magic's rounds were just like short, sweet, to the point, and then he had like just his content to me was crazy. But like I said, I think most people had Chayron winning that battle. Rock, though, I think is a different monster than Magic. Magic's laid back. Rock is aggressive. Magic's delivery is smooth. Rock's aggressive is energetic, in your face. You know what I mean? So, looking at like Chayron and Shug and how Chayron deals with aggression. If you watch like Chayron and Ars and Chayron and Shug, Chayron doesn't handle aggression very well. So if Rock is aggressive and
there's no doubt he's
battling someone from Jersey,
yeah.
I think the crowd is going to get behind him. It's going to make it really tough for Chayron.
Yeah.
I mean, but he can freestyle. He has that ability to change a battle up a little bit. He can freestyle, rebuttal. He can steal a battle. You know what I'm saying?
Nah, absolutely, and he can definitely steal around if his rebuttal game is on point. I think the test for Chayron is going to be, when I battled Chayron in London, he had one rebuttal that was super crazy, that kind of shifted the momentum, and then he had another rebuttal that fell super flat, and it gave me the momentum back. You know what I mean? So with Chayron, as great as his rebuttal ability is, sometimes he can be hit or miss with it. He can't afford to miss versus Rock in Jersey. The minute Rock has a crazy first round and Chayron opens with a rebuttal that doesn't land, now he's fighting out of a box at that point. You know what I mean? Because that kind of crowd, you got to keep their attention. You got to hit them quick. And the minute you say something they don't like, you better say something they like within the next 15 seconds, or that battle is going to turn super ugly. And it really doesn't matter who you are. That's not just for Chayron. That's for everybody, really. Mm-hmm. But it's going to be tougher for Chayron because he doesn't punch as much back-to-back. He usually does more setups. So if his rebuttal doesn't land, he better get to that next punch super quick, or that crowd might turn on him.
Right. Last matchup here, Chess and Rad B, two young guns.
Super dope.
Yeah.
Super dope.
How you feel?
For me, this matchup makes the most sense to me. Just because of their similar backgrounds. Rad B has battled, if I'm not mistaken, he battled DNA.
Big T.
He battled Big T as well. So he's got some experience with URL mainstays and bigger names. I can't go against Chess just because Chess is Chess is dangerous, and he's still getting better.
Which is scary. It's very scary.
It's super scary. I said this about T-Top too the other day. And I think the same thing for Briz. Those three are already dangerous. They're already having debatables or clearly beating very high-ranked vets.
Right.
But they're all still getting better. You know what I'm saying? Which is very scary for all of us. All of us who have been here. It's a scary sight. You know what I'm saying? So I got Chess 2-1 in that one. However, if Rad B has the performance of his life, it's gonna be an eye opener. You got to take a look at the card. This is who's on this card,
right? Who
he's battling. If he has a clear win over Chess on this card,
his stock's going way up.
His stock is through the roof. And I don't necessarily even think that it would hurt Chess. I think Chess is getting to that point where like we know what Chess is capable of. So if Chess has a bad battle, I don't think we're gonna kill him for it. We know he brings 3 rounds. We know he tries. We know he cares. But if Rad B has the performance of his life and shakes that building and beats Chess, his stock is out of here. His stock is through the roof. So it's a big opportunity for Rad. So it's going to be interesting to see if he takes advantage. But I think I got to see that battle. That battle is it just makes so much sense.
Is this? Let me ask you: is this the right time for it? Because I feel like seeing Chess after the Saga battle, after how crazy he got after Saga, and I just don't feel like Rod's ready at this point for Chess. This is my opinion. I don't think. I think maybe give him another year, it would have made sense. But I don't know. How do you feel about that? Do you feel like Rad B is like really ready for Chess?
The difference between Chess and like a DNA and Big T is Chess relies more on aggression and he relies more on his pen.
Okay.
DNA and Big T are just like witty, experienced veterans, so they know, little tricks, little things from their experience. They just know how to react. If Rad B has a room rocker, DNA knows how to rebuttal it. If Rad B has a good round, Big T knows how to, put a little extra emphasis on the gun sounds, or he knows he has to move around the stage a little more and people will get excited. But Chess doesn't rely on all of that. Chess comes to rap. He gets in your face. He's aggressive. He raps. He talks that shit that people can relate to. Do I think Rad B is ready for it? It's tough to say, man, because he survived DNA and Big T.
Right.
However, like I said, Chess is a different animal. I think we're gonna have to see Rad be more aggressive in this one. If he's going to have the performance of the night, and if he's going to be able to survive Chess, he's got to be more aggressive. And he's got to step his pen up just a little bit. But the Chess we seen versus Saga, and I heard Chess was also really good versus Av.
Crazy against Av.
Yeah, if Chess is in that bag, Chess always has one crazy round. We all know this. He always at least has one crazy round. For DNA it was the third. For Saga it was the second. He always has one round, just one standout round where it's like, yo, he is blacking right now. Like this round is over with and done. He always wins a round clearly. I don't know. It's tough for me to call, bro. Honestly, if I had to say, like just off instinct, I would say Rad B probably not ready for Chess. However, if he has some guidance, if he has people around him that know the game that can coach him, he really just needs to show up. Win or lose, he needs to show up. Okay. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If he shows up, I think he'll be fine.
ShrugLife.